Hey everybody, I'd like to share with you an exercise for developing your rim shots. But before we do that, first thing you need to make sure of is that your snare drum is the proper height and angle to even do a rim shot. And what I do is I verify by putting the sticks in what I call the rim shot position. And you just lay them across the head and the rim, and that shows you where your hands are in relation to your legs, the other drums. I like to make sure that I can do rim shots on the small tom. You can see my hand is close to the mic, close to the snare head, but not touching. So I can do rim shots on the small tom. I don't worry about the floor tom. I can, but yeah, it's not the most pleasing sound. Back to the snare. If you're sitting in on someone else's drum set, I have sat in on some drum sets that the snare drum was so low that I could not physically do a rim shot. It was obvious to me that that particular drummer never did rim shots. That's just that's their prerogative, but I definitely don't recommend that configuration. So getting back to the snare drum, it's high enough, it's got a good angle. I tilt it back to minimize the jump to the small tom. I've tried having the small tom up high. It gets it closer horizontally, but vertically that jump I could, when I'm playing fast, catch the small tom. So this is the way I prefer, low and flat right next to each other. Now to the exercise, I recommend starting a medium tempo single stroke roll, and I'm just playing on the head, and then you start lowering your hands until they turn into rim shots. And that's how you get a feel for rim shots. And when you're sitting in on a new stage or a stage that you know is troubled because everything is irregular and everything is moving, that's an added complication. But what I do before we start playing, and it makes no sound, I always check that rim shot position to get a baseline for where my hands are going to be. Maybe I might need to make a slight adjustment. Usually I just make the adjustment in my head and I go on and play rim shots. But it's a good idea to do this, and it doesn't make any sound. So you're not bothering anyone. It's a nice professional touch to really not make much sound at all until instructed by your sound man. And another thing you can do with that exercise, you can take it past the rim shot onto the rims just to get a feel for where the sweet spot is. Just play around in that zone and give it time. Give it plenty of time. It takes time to develop that feel. And that's where two things are working against you. A, it takes time, and B, it makes a lot of noise. So good luck finding a place, a spot where you can practice that because it takes time. But just flirt with that rim shot zone and you should be able to nail it. Even the best drummers, on occasion, but it gets more and more rare as you develop a feel for it, will catch a rim, and you hear it, or you don't even hear it because the music is so loud. All of a sudden, there's a backbeat in absentia. So I hope this helps, and let me know how it works for you. Thanks.